Multipliers, welcome back to another episode of the Money Multiplier podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Kessler, and we ask ourselves, do our dollars make sense? Welcome back. I'm excited that y'all are here because I am super excited for this topic, all right? Because there are opposing sides of the infinite banking concept, okay? You've got some folks who are very on the left. I don't want to say left and right, but y'all will follow me. There's some people who are totally on the left where they are, hey, IBC is a scam. Hey, you should just go buy term and invest the difference. Max out your 401ks, let the government take care of you. You should be doing an IUL or a VUL instead of whole life for the infinite banking concept. So, you got that side of folks, and then you have this other side of people who are very huge advocates. Myself, okay? If you've been following me, you know I'm a huge advocate of the infinite banking concept because it's just what I do in my own life. Having 8 policies and over 30 within just our own Kessler family banking system. But I want to have a conversation of you shouldn't do infinite banking if ... And I have some topics I want to get into, but I want to come at this conversation at a very neutral, Switzerland ground, all right? Not being biased, let's just talk about the truths, because then this will allow you to make that decision if this concept makes sense for you, all right? Because it's not for everybody. There's no one silver bullet for everybody. I mean, seriously, y'all, all right? So even just like the people, you shouldn't bash other products or what folks are doing because it could make sense for that individual, right? I know for myself, I have goals and a direction that I'm trying to go within my financial life, and it makes sense for me. And to be quite honest with you, I think it can make sense for everybody, but you first have to have the foundation of your discipline, your mindset, your goals that you're trying to accomplish. My goals may be different from your goals, and that's okay. Like I'm thinking about my uncle right now who's totally happy living on a sailboat and being a botanist, making 50 grand a year. He's loving his life, right? Myself, I want to continue to build my empire, build my wealth. I want to have airplanes one day. I want to have a yacht so I can sail around the Mykonos Islands and I can hire that captain to take me and go and do it. And it just requires resources. And money is nothing more than just a resource or a tool. Now, first of all, money is nothing more than a means of exchange, aka a tool for you to go and do the things that you want to do within your life. So even before we get into this conversation of you shouldn't do infinite banking if, leave the blank, you should maybe have that honest conversation with yourself. And if you're married, I encourage you to involve your spouse. If you have children, involve the children into the conversation too. But really write down those goals and the direction of where you're trying to go, and it's going to change all the time. Like my dad tells me that all the time, like, hey, what mattered to me 5 years ago doesn't matter to me now. And so it's going to change as you evolve and you have different likes and interests or dislikes. You're like, maybe that thing ain't for me no more. Like, hey, maybe at some point in the future, I may just stop totally going to music festivals. But right now, I love it. I ain't stopping, right? So I want to get into the truths about infinite banking because no, this is not magic. It's not a get rich quick kind of deal. And honestly, it is not for everybody. The internet loves to make this strategy sound completely perfect or completely terrible, all right? Those two opposing sides. But the reality is somewhere in the middle. Mama TK always says this. She goes, Hannah, it's not always as great at what it seems, but it's not always as bad at what it seems. It's somewhere in the middle in between there. Love you, Mama. So today I want to have the real honest conversation and who the infinite banking concept actually works best for, who it doesn't, and the mindset, the discipline, and the long-term thinking this strategy truly requires. Because I'd rather sit here and tell you the truth compared to other folks who are out there just hyping it up and wanting to sell policies. All right, you catching my drift? Hey, and before I forget, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Help a girl out over here. Like the video. You can leave a comment down below. You can get in contact with me through my social media platforms, Hannah_Kessler. Hannah spelled the same way as forwards and backwards, Kessler with one S. You'll always find me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. All right, let's get into the episode here. Let's start with this number one fact. The infinite banking concept, this is a system. It's not a shortcut to get rich quick, okay? It requires that long-term thinking. That's why in Nelson Nash's book, Becoming Your Own Banker, he talks about long-term thinking and how you can't hit arrival syndrome. You have to continue to keep learning. You got to have the imagination for your financial future, for your financial life. Because I'm telling you right now, you can truly achieve great and big things when you start to understand money, you start to understand leverage, you have discipline and the good habits backing you too, and if you truly want it, all right, I firmly believe this. If you truly want it for yourself, you can go and make it happen. If you are someone who's very deep into fitness and you're like, hey, this bodybuilding stuff, this is kind of cool and dope, I want to get into this. If you have the habits and the commitment to decide that that is the person that you are going to be, I'm telling you, you can make it happen for yourself. So just some words of encouragement where, hey, you ain't doing this all by yourself. You know, is a community here that's backing you and supporting you. But at the end of the day, it's your financial life, it's your money, and you got to decide if you want to take the actions and the thought process to even get those results that you're trying to accomplish for yourself. But infinite banking is truly very simple. But it's not easy, okay? Because again, it requires a discipline. Are you going to track your cash flow every single month? Are you going to ask questions and continue your education and development? All right, I mean, like I'm out there on like Yahoo Finance looking at what is the Fed doing this week? What's the markets doing this week? Even though I have no money invested into the markets, I'm a real estate girl, right? I'm still paying attention to what's going out there in the financial world, because if you know what's going on, you'll know what to do. But here's something that actually a gentleman said when we were just in Puerto Rico this past week. We were down there for some business meetings with one of the insurance companies. And he quotes, "Boring is beautiful." And I was like, ooh, that's good. I'm going to put that one on a t-shirt. But it is, okay? I believe that boring is truly beautiful when it comes to my money. I don't want to be running frantic all around thinking, oh my goodness, what is the markets doing? I have no control here, and I'm nervous about what my dollars will be doing if they're going to go up and down, right? Because again, those are investments. In my humble opinion, whole life insurance is not an investment. It's a storage, a warehouse of my wealth, because no, it can never lose value. It's a true guaranteed appreciating asset because of that contractual guaranteed interest. And no, it's not based on the markets. But this strategy truly rewards the discipline, not so much that desperation. And you gotta understand that this is a long-term process. Again, it's not a get-rich-quick kind of deal. And you have to commit to yourself and treat yourself as that number one asset, saying, hey, if I'm gonna pay these premiums, this is me telling myself I'm paying myself first. You've all heard that before, pay yourself first. And so when I collect money that comes into me through the different avenues that I have, I will take a sliver of what I'm making and I will go and move that money into my segregated checking account. I pay myself first before I pay any of my other bills. And then that pay myself first money, that's the dollars that I start to deposit into my policy. And this kind of gets into my segue of like my second point. You shouldn't do infinite banking if you need money quick. All right, there's a capitalization phase that happens within the policy. Year one, when you put $1 into your policy, you aren't going to have access to that same dollar right away. Yeah, you may have access to 60 to 90% of it, depending on how the policy is designed, but you're not going to have access to dollar for dollar right away. Thank you. and that early capitalization phase you need to take into consideration with your wealth building strategy, okay? The analogy I like to use all the time is, hey, we're starting a business from scratch. That's what kind of starting the policy is like. We're starting a business from scratch. And by that third or fourth year in that policy, you're going to be that breaking even year. That's when my premium that I put into this policy, my cash value is going to be growing by that same net injection that I put in that year, my cash on cash in that year, if you will. So this does require early capitalization. It requires the discipline, okay? And if you need those overnight results, first of all, that's not even a strategy. You got some probably discipline and spending habits or debt payoff stuff, which we can help you with. I mean, yeah, I know I talk about IBC all day long, but hey, I got other resources of folks I can send you to, okay? So again, you can reach out to me if you want to talk about that. But if you're the type of person that you are living paycheck to paycheck, I point blank tell you, hey, you ain't ready for IBC quite yet. Let's get some of your spending habits, this debt under control first. What other pockets of money do we have? Hey, does maybe velocity banking make more sense right now? Do you have a whole bunch of monies tied up within your house and equity there? If you understand leverage, it could make sense to you to even implement the strategy of utilizing first lien HELOCs in that manner. But sometimes I'm coming to y'all and I know you guys want to start this concept, but I'm like, you are not ready to start it because I should say, do not want to be the reason that you are laying awake at night thinking, what in the hell am I doing putting all this money into this stupid life insurance policy? All right, you got enough chaos and crap going on in your life that this should be fun. It should be easy for you. And it does require some of that discipline in the early years. And so if you are living paycheck to paycheck or just breaking even every single month, don't start the policy right now. You ain't ready. But my advice to you, if that's where you're at, is go and look at your spending. Track what's coming in every month, what's going out the door every month. Can you minimize some of that stuff? Or can I increase my income that's coming in? And really a good starting point within the policy is look at this thing as if it's a glorified savings account, okay? Take the net cash flow of what you're keeping. If you're producing, let's say $10,000 a month and your expenses are $8,000 a month, well, why am I leaving that leftover $2 down at the local bank? Start by shifting that into keeping money every month. In my opinion, that should be the money that starts to flow towards the policy. But I'll also say it in this manner, because I was thinking about this morning. Even the money that you're already spending, like let's say that I have a $10,000 tax bill every year. Well, hey, could I implement a strategy where, all right, let me design this thing where I know year one, I'm not going to have dollar for dollar access quite yet. But hey, I do got some discretionary income and I could be more disciplined with this. So let's say that I start this policy $15,000 a year, put in my 15, immediately have access to the 10. I take out that 10, go pay the tax bill. And then now what I'm going to do is pay myself back, pay that loan back into your policy, prepping for the next year's tax bill. And so now I'm recouping some of this opportunity cost that's going out to paying this large bill and this expense, and simply by just running the money through the policy first. Is that maybe a strategy of how I can recapture the dollars I'm already spending just simply on my taxes? Charitable giving is another one, but there's kind of 4 stages. Actually, here's where my mindset's going. I've really categorized this into kind of 4 stages. I was thinking about this on the airplane coming back home just yesterday. Like phase 1 of IBC is you're that saver phase. Okay, I'm looking at this as a place to store and warehouse my monies that I'm making right now, the money that I'm keeping at the end of the month. So I'm gonna redirect that cash flow, not just leave it in the bank. I'm gonna take that, now I'm gonna deposit it into my policy every month, let's say. And reminder, you can pay your premiums monthly, quarterly, twice a year, or annually. And you can always jump back and forth between those different modes of premium, all right? So you're never like truly locked into it. But can I redirect, so number 1 on the saver, can I redirect some of this cash flow and that starts to go towards a policy premium every single month? That's where I started. At 18, saving up $100 a week, $400 a month, that's where I started my first policy at. And that's where Dad guided me of what my premium should be into this policy. Because remember, again, you get to decide the premium that you want to do into your policy. So phase 1 is kind of saver. Phase 2, I would classify as like entrepreneur. This is where we start having the conversations of, okay, I have my big bills under control. I can use my policy to finance for those big bills. And also, what if I start to open up the opportunity of utilizing the capital within the policy to go and deploy into different investments? Maybe you like stock options. Maybe you like gold and silver. You like commodities. You like real estate, okay? Doesn't matter what you like to invest in. Invest in the things that you like, know, and understand. But how could I take some of this policy money and go and deploy it into these different adventures, business acquisition, starting your business, and now create myself an income stream from this asset that I bought for myself? Because that truly is the ultimate goal. Have your money out there working, have the little green men working out there for you, creating that army of green men, and that's what's going to sustain the lifestyle. All right, I'm getting ahead of myself. So number 2 is entrepreneur phase. And then number 3, I would really classify as capital raiser, you building up the capital so that now I can go in, deploy it into the different investments, go and start businesses or buy businesses. Maybe I have more people within my family, college education I can help support on. Maybe my child needs a house and I want to finance that house for them, and then they will pay me back the mortgage payments every month, and I'm going to charge them this amount of interest, and then they're paying it back to the family bank, building the warehouse of the money in our family banking system. Hey, capital raiser. So that's a lot of fun. That's what Dad did with me. My first ever house when I moved here to Daytona, that's when I stopped renting. And he was my mortgage holder, and every month pay Dad my monthly mortgage payments, right? And there's a whole deeper strategy there, but I'm not going to get so deep there. Reach out if you want to have that conversation. And then phase 4 is lifestyle, okay? And I think about lifestyle in 2 ways. As I just mentioned as well, hey, have the income streams from my investments fund my lifestyle. That's one way. And you could even use the policy in those later years to supplement for tax-free income. And honestly, I want to do like a whole episode again on this about retirement income using whole life insurance. Because what's kind of fun about these policies and this whole concept is that you have pre-retirement, okay? How can I finance for the things I'm already buying for myself while I'm working? I'm younger right now. And then you have the retirement aspect, funding that tax-free income during my retirement years. And you also have the death benefit too, right? That's kind of like the third phase, is that it's not an if, it's a when. That death benefit money is going to get paid out to my family, and thus again, building the empire that we're trying to create for ourselves and the legacy that you want to leave to your family, right? Do you love your children is my question. I hope the answer is yes. Hey, sorry to interrupt the episode here, but I want to take a quick break. If what you're hearing today has made you curious about infinite banking, how it works, I want you to go watch my free presentation. In it, I walk you through the same steps that my family took to pay off $984,000 of debt in 39 months, and how we've been able to recycle and recapture every single dollar since then. This isn't theory. This is real. I mean, this is what the wealthy have been using over 200 years to keep the money within the family. This is literally where banks, conventional banks, store a boatload of their dollars at. And it's the same process that we've helped thousands of families across the country put into action. So go to themoneyMultiplier.com/presentation and see for yourself how you can start taking control of your money today. All right, let's get back into the episode. Another one I want to hit on is you shouldn't do infinite banking if you won't commit to learning. Kind of what I mentioned earlier on in this episode, that you need to do your own due diligence. Don't just take one person's word like it's God's word, okay, if you will. You need to go think for yourself and question, I say all the time, but do your own due diligence, and you need to have some sort of basic understanding about money, about whole life insurance, because this is your banking system. This is the bank of you, Joe Schmo, right? It's not the bank of Hannah Kessler, it's the bank of you. And you own that policy contract. And so you need to understand the verbiage. What is my base premium? What does that mean to me? What is my paid up edition premium? How much is being allocated towards the base and the paid up editions? Is there a term rider that's on this policy? Even the mutually owned insurance company itself, right? I mean, hey, if you're a client of the Money Multiplier, we do that due diligence ourselves anyways, because I'm a client of all the 6 companies I do business with. So just for my own selfishness, I want to stay up to date with what the insurance companies' portfolios are doing, right? But you should also go out there and do your own due diligence and do your own studying, because this will start to shift your thinking within your mind, how you view debt, how you view your cash flow, leveraging. Okay, go back to my episode, good debt versus bad debt. And then more importantly, the control that you have over the money. Because again, boring is beautiful. And people will just reject what they don't understand. Okay, a lot of the times when I see haters on the internet, they just truly do not understand, or that light bulb moment maybe hasn't gone off, or they're totally overcomplicating this crap. Oh my gosh, this is not rocket science, y'all, okay? It's really not that complicated, okay? It just may take you about 5 hours of studying to fully understand, hey, this is what I'm doing with the policy. This is what all this means. The flexibility of my paid up editions within my policy. And, you know, even like maintaining that strategy, or making pivots if something happens or comes up. So truly, infinite banking will reward the thinkers and the folks who want to continue their education. I'm just saying. Maybe that's a little mean, but I'm just saying. And another topic, this is a big one. If you are just chasing rates of return, go do something else, all right? I know I did that live stream not too long ago of why you put money into the policy before you go and invest it. I'll link it. Okay, reach out to me if you want me to link you that direct episode, but that one was truly powerful because I mathematically proved, hey, over 15 years, if you implement IBC with this investment that you're going to go do versus if you just go do the investment directly, how much more monies that you would have. And then also the death benefit there versus not having the death benefit is a big one as well. But if somebody only wants like those market returns, or they're so aggressively investing outside and not investing in their own foundation to their financial life, they're just going to totally misunderstand and not get what the infinite banking concept is truly about. This is one of my biggest pet peeves, quite honestly. And maybe because I'm just so far down the rabbit hole and I've been doing this for so long that it just kind of bothers me when I meet people who aren't in this mindset. But again, I always got to come back to center and say, well, Hannah, they don't have the understanding quite yet. They haven't gone out and do their due diligence or studied up and read the books or even understand money at all. Hey, you finance every single thing that you buy. You either pay cash, thus giving up the interest you could have earned, or you bank finance it. So this is just truly taking back the opportunity cost of your money and having that optimized control, liquidity, guarantees, and again, just the uninterrupted compounding, aka that opportunity cost. So just somebody who's chasing those returns or just want to continue to just keep taking and taking from their banking system and never paying it back, which you can do that, okay? You have the freedom. I just say as long as you pay your policy loan interest, okay, that at minimum, you'll keep this thing afloat, if you will. But you also got to prep for those down times and those rainy day times, okay? I can tell you for myself, I will keep 6 months of my expenses untouched, okay? I keep 3 months in my policy and 3 months in my regular checking accounts, and that's money that I don't touch because if I have a day where shit just hits the fan, we saw that during COVID, right? With the layoffs and not getting paid, okay? If something truly happens, I want to make sure that I'm protecting myself and I have those monies. Here's another one I've been thinking about recently because, hey, higher up your ass gets on the flagpole, the bigger the target it becomes. What if something happens where a lawsuit comes after me? I need now attorney fees just to defend or fight for myself. Or maybe somebody screwed me over and now I got to go sue this plaintiff. I don't know, just making some stuff up. But I mean, it's real life, it's true, especially in Sue Happy America. It happens, right? And so you want to make sure that you have the preparation for those rainy day funds. And I just personally don't think that you should be doing infinite banking if you're financially undisciplined in that manner, especially for my aggressive investors who are very illiquid because maybe all your money's tied up in property. You're very maybe paper rich but cash poor. Even that can sometimes take a toll on you because I know some pretty savvy investors who are very big out there being financial gurus and teaching other people about how to get into like real estate and different things. And sometimes they're a little over leveraged in my opinion. And I'm like, guys, you got to have some safety net of money stored somewhere, okay? There is some truth because and here's my ADD going off, but like there is some truth to having some cash accumulation somewhere and not solely focus just on cash flow, because what if something happens if that cash flow doesn't come in? But there's a perfect balance, okay? There's a perfect mixture of what you need to have of accumulated capital and what you have out there of the cash flow. So, the policy loans, they require responsibility. Repayment mindset matters, all right? When I'm using my policies to buy myself big expenses or depreciating assets, I am treating myself as a client to my bank. I'm going to structure something so that I pay myself back. I pay myself back on time every month. And oh, by the way, you can actually at some insurance companies set up an auto loan repayment, which is kind of cool. It doesn't happen at all the carriers, but some of them that we do business with do. And that's kind of helpful because my life's on autopilot. But if I'm buying those depreciating assets or my taxes, charitable giving, or some other big bills, insurance, yeah, those sort of things, I'll pay myself back and I'll pay myself back into the policy and charge myself some interest because you must think like a banker. There is a cost to your capital, okay? I'm thinking in Nelson's book right now about the Midland, Texas bank where they went belly up because all of their non-performing loans was from the head execs of the bank, and they thought, oh, I don't need to pay this back because I'm a head exec. I can just do whatever I want. No. There's a cost to your capital, and money's going to flow and grow to where it's respected to. And this concept doesn't fail because of the system, it fails because of you and your actions and not acting and behaving and thinking like a banker should. Catching my drift? Freedom without discipline becomes this chaos. So you got to have the discipline. Now there's another bullet point. You shouldn't do infinite banking if you want somebody else to control your money. Okay, I know it's a little rhetorical and I'm sorry that I put that in here, but like straight up for real, I just got done reading. I know it's taken me a long time. I got too caught up in this romance novel called Archer's Voice that I stopped reading my nonfiction book. So I finally just finished Tax-Free Wealth. All right, Tom Wheelwright, great book. But even in his book, he says, hey, I don't recommend traditional 401ks. Those types of accounts, you're giving up the control to the government and having limited ways of how you can grow that 401k. So if you are somebody who doesn't want the control, you just want to give your money to like a financial advisor and have them just go and invest it for you, infinite banking is not going to make sense for you, okay? You got to be in the know. You're going to want to have the control over your dollars, and it requires the ownership, the intentionality. It requires awareness. It's all about the control of your money. And have you ever noticed that the only time that you've ever lost money is when you give up that control to somebody else? I've had some experiences just recently where I made some stupid choices with my money and I've lost that money. Maybe, we'll see. But these are the learning lessons that, you got to go through in order to be better, be a little bit more disciplined. Hannah was just a little naive and didn't ask her coaches that if she should or should not do this because Hannah was too aggressive and wanted to get off the nipple too quickly. But that's something that I'm going through, and I'll talk more about that in another episode. But it is good to have these like learning experiences, and like there's no mistakes. There's just expensive lessons, if you will. Like when I was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I had an early morning flight, and I had a rental car. Because I was on a media tour. I remember I had to go to Philly, Altoona, PA, and then Pittsburgh. And so then I just flew out of Pittsburgh to go back home. So I got a rental car to go out that way. And I just wasn't thinking, all right, I don't know. I was just being stupid, I guess, that morning. But I did not fill up the rental car gas tank. And so when I pull up to Avis, I'm like, sir, I screwed up. I just completely forgot. And if you know, like the Pittsburgh airport, there's no gas stations around. Like the closest ones are like 10 miles away. And I was like, if I go back now, I'm going to probably miss this flight. A failure to plan is a plan to fail, Hannah Kessler. Anywho's, so I pull up to Avis and I twinkle my little eyes at him and I say, sir, I totally screwed up. How much are you going to charge me to fill up this gas tank right now? And he goes, well, it's normally $10 a gallon if we're going to fill it up for you. I was like, And I look at him and I said, sir, there's no mistakes. There's just expensive lessons. But honestly, he was so chill. You know what he says? He goes, hey, hold on. Just sit here for a second. Goes back to the office. He does, it's a little computer work. He comes back out and he goes, all right, you're good. We got the gas covered for you. Enjoy your day. And I handed him some money. I said, sir, I appreciate you. Hey, this is karma, what I think. If you lead with a good heart and kindness, it'll all come back to you. To that point, no, we'll share that story another time. That ain't my story to tell. Anyways, let's get back on track here. Let's get into who infinite banking does work for, though. This is great for business owners, folks who are financing equipment, financing payroll, the overhead expenses of the office. Maybe you have a rent that you got to pay there. You're renting out some space. This is for my high cash flow earners, okay? You're always looking for a place to store your money and to go and put the green men to work. And remember, when we're doing this, all I'm saying is the policy is just the warehouse again, right? It's just the warehouse. But you can also think of it like this policy, when I put my money in there first, it starts to earn me that uninterrupted compounding. So it's my warehouse of my money, but then I can go and deploy it into other investments or purchases that I'm buying. And also, I'm thinking about like Dr. Kyle Stevenson. Y'all met Dr. Kyle not too long ago. I brought him on the pod, but he's a high W-2 income earner. And if that's maybe you, maybe you're a dentist, a physician, really successful IT company, I don't know, whatever you do, and you are like a W-2 earner, when you start to marry infinite banking with investments where you get depreciation, cost seg, even like tax credits on, it's very helpful in the world of minimizing your tax liability. All right, so if that sounds like you, reach out to me. I'll get you in contact with Dr. Kyle, because that's like the biggest one. You know, a lot of you high W-2 earners, you know, you make a lot of money, but because you're W-2, you can't really write off a whole bunch of stuff, right? And so you're really up there in that big tax bill. Anywho, so that's what this works great for as well. My family's, okay, death benefit, hey, it's on that policy. Long-term thinkers, my real estate investors, people who are wanting the liquidity, and people who value the guarantees and the control. Quoting again, boring is beautiful. Now, to summarize this all up, all right, it's not a get-rich-quick kind of deal. If you're not in this for your entire life, infinite banking is not for you, okay? You need to stay committed to this. There's emphasis on whole life, it's for your whole life until you are age 121. And do I have to keep paying premiums until age 21? No, you don't have to. If I'm a good coach, you'll understand that you want to continue to pay premiums as much as you can for as long as you can. Capitalize. Don't be afraid to capitalize. Continue to pay yourself first. Treat yourself as that number one asset. And, you know, again, you can always lower your premiums if something ever comes up, okay? Go and watch my one episode where I get into what changes after I commit to becoming my own banker, you know? I get into that topic over there a little bit deeper. It's also for folks who are wanting the flexibility. They're looking for diversification within their portfolio. Okay, because I'm not saying like infinite banking is like the say all end all. To me, it's just the foundation to everything that I do inside of my financial life. When I can, once I turn age 35 and I'm getting into like my long-term care policies, because you gotta be 35 to own a long-term care policy. I'm like, what y'all, like, can't I just like lock it in right now? Whatever. But when I get to that point, I'm going to use some of my policies to then fund the premium in my long-term care insurance. I'm going to continue to buy the assets and the fun toys and the houses that I want to purchase for myself. I actually just bought myself a new sauna. Okay, hold on. Should I turn y'all around? Hold on. If you're watching on YouTube, there we go. Look at her. Isn't she cute? Yeah. So bought that for myself because your health is your wealth. That's very important. But you know, I funded that $2,300 purchase on a credit card, and then when the credit card comes due, I'll just take a policy loan and pay it off. And then because it's not a cash flowing item for me, I'm gonna be an honest banker, pay myself back and charge myself interest, right? Hannah Kessler charges herself 10% interest in anything that she takes out from her bank. Here are some questions I want y'all to think about, and write these questions down, okay? Am I willing to think long term? Are you willing to think long term? I would even put these answers to these questions on your refrigerator or on your mirror, somewhere that you look all the time so that it gets ingrained into the habits that you're trying to cultivate for yourself. But are you willing to do this for the long haul? Are you willing to commit to this and be in a marriage with this concept for the rest of your life? Do you value the control over the hype? You know, are you the type of person where you see that next shiny object, you're like, ooh, I got to go do this over here? No. All right. Do you value control over hype? Can you commit to a system? Again, paying yourself first. Can you commit to yourself is how I would really ask that question. Do I want to become more financially intentional? See, I keep using the word intentional because that's my word for 2026. Intentional with my money, my time, my health, how I put food in my body, what I'm eating, when I go to the gym, when I do my yoga, not sitting in my office all the time, like actually, Hannah, like take out your paddleboard. So are you ready to be more intentional with your spending, with your money, and not just letting everything float by? You keep receiving your paycheck income that's coming in, then you open up your bank app and just hope that there's money in there, all right? The biggest takeaway from tax-free wealth was you need to understand your wealth strategy in the direction of where you're going. Because the best financial strategy is the one you actually understand and you stick with, not just placing yourself into a product. You know, there's a lot of people out there who just want to sell you products. Maybe your trust guy, your financial advisor. You need to understand where you're actually going, and you need to stick with that goal. Yeah, you can make some pivots as time goes on, okay, into the different investments that you're doing, but truly when it comes to the policy, you need to stick with it. Not every financial strategy fits everybody. You need to stop following the trends and the new shiny objects, what I call the noise of what's going on out there. I mean, yeah, pay attention, be aware, but also think for yourself and question, and start understanding these systems as well. Infinite banking is not about perfection, but it's definitely not about the hype. And this is a long-term financial system designed for people who value the control, the liquidity, the flexibility, and truly like the liberty that comes from these policies. So again, this ain't for everybody. I say it all the time. Should everybody be having and using a credit card? No, because you ain't disciplined with your credit cards. But if you're disciplined with them, it's a great asset, a great tool of leverage that will get you the cash back, get you the flying miles, fun for those hotel or vacation experiences. You catch my drift? It's the same thing with IBC. But for the right person, the business owner, the family builder, the legacy thinker, the person tired of outsourcing their financial life, it can be one of the most powerful tools that you ever implement in your life. So don't ask yourself, hey, is infinite banking good or bad? Ask, does this strategy align with the kind of financial life that I'm trying to build for myself? So if you want to learn deeper about this, go to my website, hannahkessler.com. And on there, click on the money multiplier method. It'll take you to my video where I truly break this down. But I'll leave y'all with this. Wealth isn't built by chasing every opportunity. It's built by committing to systems that compound over time. And with that being said, I appreciate y'all for being here, spending some time with me today. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button, rate the show 5 stars, give me your honest opinions, ask me the hard questions. I'm always here to help and support you. Do well, be great today, and don't do anything that I wouldn't do, Money Multiplier family. Until next week, mwah. Bye everyone. Hey y'all, if you've made it this far, this is where most people stop, and that's why they continue to be stuck with their money. Continue on with your education, click right here, it'll take you to the next video.